Greetings of the day, children. Today we will continue with our ninth chapter, Heritage Management, and in that we have already completed 9.1 and 9.2, that is sources of history, their conservation and preservation, and some famous museums. Today we will study about the libraries and archives. 9.3 Libraries and Archives. Libraries are the storehouses of knowledge and information. Library science is very closely related to management science, information technology, and the field of education. Now, children, it is libraries. You all know that library is the place where um, books or other sources of information and knowledge is stored. Since it is stored properly, or it is maintained properly, since it is called as it is closely related to management science, because it is all about management of the books or information or knowledge, also related to education, information technology, because nowadays the details, or the uh, which books are stored where, and the which books are available in the library, all these information is stored, or rather is maintained through information technology using PCs and computers or laptops. And also it is related to the field of education, because of course it's about knowledge and information, so it is also closely related to field of education. Libraries perform various tasks like collecting books, arranging them systematically, conservation and preservation of those books, dissemination of information sources, etc. So children, here are various functions, or which are performed by the various tasks performed by the libraries. Now, amongst those are collecting books and arranging them systematically. So finding out whichever books are available in the market which the library already doesn't have, so related to their demand from the readers, so collecting those books and then arranging them systematically. Conservation and preservation of those books, so those books have to be taken care of, they have to be preserved, and they have to be conserved. Dissemination of information sources. Now, dissemination means the action or fact of spreading information. So whatever information, whatever knowledge, or whatever books they have, that needs to be um, told to everyone, so that they can spread the information, so they can spread the knowledge about the books and make it available to the readers, etc. Many of these tasks are completed with the help of computerized systems. So now, since everything is computerized nowadays, so even these informations are stored, or all these tasks are completed with the help of computerized systems. To make a book available to a reader as per his requirement is the most important aspect of library management. So the most important thing in a library management is that whenever any reader wants to uh, read or refer to a particular book, that particular book should be made available to him. The Royal Library of Assurbanipal, 7th century BCE, the Assyrian emperor in Mesopotamia. Now, this Assyrian emperor is the biggest emperor of the world. These are few of the images of the Assyrian emperor in Mesopotamia. The library at Takshashila University, 5th century BCE, 5th century CE. And the library in Alexandria, Egypt, 4th century BCE, are supposed to be the earliest libraries in the world. So these are the earliest libraries in the world, most oldest one you can say. The Saraswati Mahal Granthalaya in Tanjavur, Tamil Nadu was built in 16th and 17th century during the times of Nayak dynasty. In 1675 CE, Vyankoji Raje Bhosle conquered Tanjavur and established his independent rule. Vyankoji Raje Bhosle and his successor kept expanding Saraswati Mahal Granthalaya. So, this emperor Vyankoji Raje Bhosle, when he used to, first of all, he conquered Tanjavur, and there he started ruling independently. Thereafter, whatever collections he had, he kept on adding to the um, Saraswati Mahal Granthalaya. Sarfoji Raje Bhosle contributed the most in this expansion. So in this Saraswati Mahal Granthalaya, most of the contribution was given by Sarfoji Raje Bhosle, who was the like Venkoji Raje Bhosle was the ancestor of Sarfoji Raje Bhosle. In 1918, the library was renamed as the Tanjavur Maharaja Sarfoji's Saraswati Mahal Library, since in his honor. Since Sarfoji Raje had contributed the most in the collection of this Granthalaya, it was named after him as an honor. Therefore, it was renamed in 1918 as the Thanjavur Maharaja Sarfoji's Saraswati Mahal Library. There are several noteworthy libraries in India. For instance, National Library, Kolkata, Nehru Memorial Museum and Library, Delhi, State Central Library, Hyderabad, Library of Asiatic Society, and the David Sassoon Library, Mumbai, etc. From the technical point of view, the management of archives is akin to library management. Children, akin means similar, somewhat similar to. So it is technically, if we see the management of archives is similar to library management as well. Preserving documents with important content is in their original condition. Preparing indexes and creating accurate systems of retrieval of documents are the important tasks in the management. First of all, retrieval means getting back again. So if we see the management of archives or library, how they are similar, because all these tasks like preserving documents in their original condition, then preparing indexes and creating accurate systems of retrieval, getting back of documents or making it available when requirement, all these are the important tasks of archive management as well as library management. So that is why we can say that these both management tasks are similar technical point of view. Documents from the archives are supposed to be very reliable, because only tested and the only after thorough checking and thorough you can say checking of the things, articles, having their references in the history, after undergoing scrutinizing all that process, things are kept in the archives. So whatever things are available in the archives are supposed to be very reliable, trustworthy, and quite real. Documents from the archives are supposed to be very reliable. Because of the heavy dependency on computerized system, information technology has become an inevitable part of the management of libraries and archives. Nowadays, since all the information about their classification, about their indexing, about so many other things related to the management of archive and libraries, lot of things are stored on the computers or maintained through the computers information technology. So nowadays information technology has become an inevitable means inseparable part of um, management of libraries and archives. The first official archives of India, the Imperial Record Department, was established in 1891 CE in Kolkata. It was shifted to Delhi in 1911. So, the first official archive of India was the Imperial Record Department, which was established in 1891 CE in Kolkata, and later on it was shifted to Delhi in 1911. In 1998 CE, the then President of India, Honorable K.R. Narayanan, opened the archives for public. It is a department under the jurisdiction of the Ministry of Culture of the Indian government. So, when in 1998, when the Prime Minister, when the President of India was Honorable K.R. Narayanan, he opened the archives for the public. Now, this is under the this is under the jurisdiction, that is the legal power of authority lies with the Ministry of Culture of the Indian government. The documents have been preserved here in a chronological order from 1748. Children, chronological order means list of events in their order of occurrence. So whatever has occurred first will be entered first or will rank higher. Whatever has ranked later on will be mentioned below that. So that is called as a chronological order. And the documents in the first official archive of India, that is the Imperial Record Department, it has the documents which are preserved from in the chronological order since 1748. It includes records in English, Arabic, Hindi, Persian, Sanskrit, and Urdu languages. So in these many languages there are records which are maintained. So few of the records are maintained in are available in English language, few in Arabic, Hindi, Persian, Sanskrit, and Urdu languages. It also includes records in Modi script. These records are classified in four categories, that is public records, oriental studies, manuscripts, and private records. Children, the way the books are categorized in the library, if you have ever seen the library or if you have ever visited the library, the literature books are kept separate. Again, the literature books are related to the language, like English literature will be kept separately, then the Marathi literature will be kept separately. So there is division on the basis of the content of the books. Similarly, in the archives also, uh, it is categorized and classified, and when these things were classified, it were classified basically into four categories. That was the public records, the oriental studies, the manuscripts, and the private records. Governments of every state in India maintain independent archives. The Archives of Maharashtra State Government has branches in Mumbai, Pune, Kolhapur, Aurangabad, and Nagpur. There are about 5 crore Modi documents related to Maratha history in the Pune branch. These documents are referred to as Peshwa Daftar. Now, children, the government of every state has maintained their separate archive. So whatever related to Mumbai, whatever documents or whatever objects related to Mumbai are found, those are kept in Mumbai. Similarly, we have different archives in Mumbai, Pune, Kolhapur, Aurangabad, and Nagpur. In this five cities in Maharashtra, we have 5 branches, that is Mumbai, Pune, Kolhapur, Aurangabad, and Nagpur. So in these archives, the things are stored. In the Pune branch of Maharashtra State's archive, there are about 5 crore Modi documents. Now Modi documents is Modi script, which was one of the scripts which was used earlier. In that script there are documents, more than 5 crore documents related to the Maratha history in Pune. So related to the Maratha history, there are more than 5 crore documents which are in the Modi script. And these documents are referred to as Peshwa Daftar. So children, that was all about libraries and archives in 9.3. Moving ahead to 9.4, encyclopedias. So what are encyclopedias? Encyclopedia is a systematic compilation of information or knowledge on various topics. So compilation means the process of gathering things together. So encyclopedia is a systematic process of gathering things together of information or knowledge of various topics. The information or knowledge in encyclopedia is arranged with a specified method. Organizing available knowledge and making it accessible is the main objective of encyclopedias. So children, you can see that even the encyclopedia also, the main task or the motto is the same, that making information or knowledge available whenever it is needed, unlike similar to the libraries and the archives. So the objective of encyclopedia is also that whenever someone needs information or knowledge in the encyclopedia, it is arranged with a specific method. It is so arranged that whenever someone needs the knowledge, it can be easily accessed by the reader. So now, what are the benefits of encyclopedia? Encyclopedias make vast volume of knowledge accessible to readers. It can help in satisfying their curiosity. Encyclopedias provide fundamental information on any topic in order to understand it properly. Fundamental, children, means basic and important from which anything else develops. So if you need to have some basic knowledge about something, um, or the important fundamental basic thing about something which can help you to get more knowledge about, or add on to more knowledge about that particular thing. So the basic knowledge is given, is called the fundamental knowledge. So this basic knowledge is provided by the encyclopedias, which help us to understand any topic uh, properly. When we understand the basic of something, which is the fundamental thing, it helps us to motivate to read more about it. Read extensively is read more about it into details, find out it, kind of, you can say, it creates inquisitiveness or curiosity amongst us. So whatever the encyclopedias make it possible, or make the data or information which is with them, which is in the encyclopedia, accessible to the scholars and researchers, and also highlight the research areas which have not yet received enough attention. So there are few things which are in the encyclopedia, so sometimes they are not more more highlighted, or although they are there, they are not much attended by the people. So sometimes such areas can be also highlight the researchers and the scholars, and it can also they can also give enough attention to that and take that field for their research and study. Encyclopedias are indicators of the state of cultural ripeness of a society. Now, encyclopedias give information about a particular topic. Now, sometimes also they give the um, indication of the state of cultural ripeness, cultural maturity, or culturally how developed that particular state or particular city is, and how developed or how matured the society is. The intellectual and cultural needs of a society determine what kind of encyclopedia pediatric literature would be created. So the intellectual, that is the intelligence, and the cultural needs of a society, that determine that which type of, or what type of encyclopedic literature would be created. Accuracy, meticulousness, objectivity, standardized format of presentation, and updated information are the criteria for designing a structure of an encyclopedia. Now, accuracy is the correctness, meticulousness is again the merit or the importance, then the objectivity. What is the objective? Standardized format of presentation. So there is a particular format of presenting the information in the encyclopedia, and updated information, like whatever new informations come in, all that have to be added in the encyclopedia, are the criteria for designing a structure of an encyclopedia. So these are the things which are necessary, which are to be considered while designing a structure of an encyclopedia. In order to incorporate the latest available information, revised editions of encyclopedias or supplements to original editions need to be published. So sometimes, the changes in the encyclopedia itself, is not possible, so they have a revised edition wherein only the changes which have taken place, those are added or edited, and then the encyclopedias are published. And sometimes when this whole encyclopedia, instead of printing the whole encyclopedia again, there are supplements which are added to the original ones, giving the latest information, the new information are published. Encyclopedias are arranged in alphabetical order or according to the order of topics. Generally, encyclopedias are arranged according to the alphabetical order, or sometimes they are also prepared in the order of topics. The type of order is decided by keeping the convenience of the reader in mind and the case and the ease of accessibility to the information. So basically, what a reader would prefer, that is kept in mind, and then the type of order is decided or done. And also it has to be seen that it should be the reader should be easily able to access the information in the encyclopedia. An index at the end of the encyclopedia is very convenient in this regard. So whichever type the or type of order the information is stored in the encyclopedia, there is an index column at the end. Generally or usually we find the index column in our textbooks or in the books at the beginning of the book, but in the encyclopedias it is generally at the end of the book, at the in the last few pages. So those uh, prove to be very helpful in these regards, like whichever way the information is stored, because of the index we can find out or we can search the required information in that encyclopedia, which is our requirement, which suits our requirement, very easy to find out. The encyclopedia can be created either by a single editor or an editorial committee. The articles in the encyclopedia are written by subject experts. Now, this encyclopedia that can be created by a single person or single editor, or by a group of editors, which is called as an editorial committee. And the articles in the encyclopedia are written by the subject experts. So whatever subject it is related to, that subject experts write the column or write the information in the encyclopedia. So this was the encyclopedia. What is an encyclopedia? Also, we have discussed the benefits of encyclopedia. Moving ahead to the types of encyclopedia. Encyclopedias can be approximately divided into four types. So these encyclopedias also can be divided into four types. The four types of encyclopedia in which it can be divided is the dictionary, the Vishwakosh, that is the comprehensive encyclopedia, encyclopedia pedic kosh, kosha sadrusha literature, and the indexes. Okay, so these are the four types wherein in which the encyclopedia can be divided. So moving to the dictionaries. Dictionaries arrange the words in a language in certain order. Usually an alphabetical order is more common. It gives meanings of words, synonyms, and etymology. Etymology means relating to the origin and historical development of words and their meanings. So there are few words which were referred to, or the things were referred to by different words earlier, and with the passage of time there are the words different words are used to identify or refer to the same object. So that also relating to that, those words or the development, historical development of those words, there is a dictionary which is called as etymological dictionaries. Then there are thesaurus, which means a book that contains lists of words and phrases with similar meanings. Then we also have dictionaries of idioms and proverbs, etc. So these are few types of the dictionaries which are there. Comprehensive encyclopedia, that is the Vishwakosh. There are two types of Vishwakosh. The first one, it includes all subjects under the sun, like relating to all the subjects. For example, Encyclopedia Britannica, Maharashtriya Jnanakosh, Marathi Vishwakosh, etc. And the other type, it includes comprehensive information on one chosen subject. For example, Bharatiya Sanskriti Kosh, Vyayam Kosh. So here you can see that there is one particular topic which is chosen, and then they have the information on that particular topic only. And in the earlier type, that is in the first type, wherein it included all the subjects, so it had little small or limited information about all the topics. And then there is another type which has a detailed information related to a particular topic chosen. For example, Bharatiya Samskruti Kosh deals with only the information related to Bharatiya Samskruti, and Vyayam Jnanakosh is the information related to only sports, or you can say physical fitness, physical exercises, and etc. Moving ahead to the encyclopedic, that is the Kosha Sadrusha literature. It is similar to an encyclopedia which comprises scholarly articles providing information on all possible aspects of one or more predetermined subject. For example, Maharashtra Jeevan Volume 1 and 2, Shahar Pune Volume 1 and 2, Yearbook Manorama Times of India, etc. So these again, this is more this is an encyclopedia which is of course related to literature, and it provides information on all the aspects of one or more predetermined subject. So on one subject you can have a detailed information about that particular subject in the encyclopedic literature. The fourth type is the indexes. So indexes usually occur at the end of a book. There are a few indexes published separately. Indexes are the alphabetical list of individuals, subjects, places, keywords, reference books, etc. For example, the index of Marathi periodicals prepared by S.G. Date. Indexes are helpful in finding required information, and it makes the information in a book easily accessible. Children, you must be familiar with the indexes. So, you know what indexes are. Indexes are generally you have at the beginning of your textbooks. So, if you want to go to the fifth chapter directly, so you can just go to the index and see which page number the fifth chapter begins, and you can directly jump onto the uh, you don't on the onto that page. You don't have to keep on turning the pages. So similarly, indexes are very helpful for finding the particular information or required information, and it makes the information in a book easily accessible. Now these indexes can be on the basis of uh, alphabetical. It can be an alphabetical list of individuals, it can be on a particular subject, it can be on the places, it can be upon the keywords or the reference books. So basically indexes, what you see at the beginning of the page, there are books which only have indexes, like whatever is available, all those books, like Marathi periodicals means the publications which are at a particular interval. So a list of that periodicals was prepared by S.G. Date. So what information was given on that periodical, in that published on which date, that information was given in is given in that Marathi periodicals, about the Marathi periodicals. So basically indexes, there are only the indexes wherein you'll get the information on where the information will be available. So children, here we come to the end of the four types of encyclopedia, that is the dictionary, the comprehensive encyclopedia Vishwakosh, encyclopedia, that is the Kosha Sadrusha literature, and the indexes. So that is all for today. We'll continue with this chapter and try to finish it in the next lecture, wherein we will discuss the encyclopedia and history, encyclopedia on history related subjects. Also, we are going to see about the Sthalakosh, Vishwakosh, Bharatiya Samskruti Kosh, Samdhyan Kosh. That's it. So thank you for today.